force, and it's really easy to kind of get in your own head when that happens because, whether it be like a financial situation. Oh, okay, sweet, man, awesome. Whether it be like a financial situation or just scheduling stuff or, just anything that you're trying to strive for. I think that a lot of these things can kind of come up, and it's very easy to kind of get deterred from the path and really feel like, oh, is this really what I need to be doing? Is this really what I need to be spending my time on? Some things just don't seem realistic. It's kind of where I'm at right now. So that's why, you know, um, things have just been kind of shape shifted. So that's why, like, I'm doing this podcast now and not on Thursday because it's just kind of hard to pinpoint a specific day for everything to happen. My schedule's just going crazy all the time. But you can only take it in stride. You can only, try to innovate and grow where you need to. So as things come, I'm constantly trying to innovate. I'm constantly trying to regroup, kind of recenter and refigure out the right structure and the right ways to go about things. So I'm just doing the best that I can, and I think that we all are to some extent. We all just try to be the best that we can, do the best that we can, and continue to just push forward and pull ourselves to get to that next level. And so on the way to doing this stuff, so first off, join the Facebook group, and then don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube. I've been very active on YouTube, and don't forget to also, subscribe to the podcast and, rate and review as well. So get all that out of the way now. The reason why I kind of wanted to talk about inflictions today is because I've been going through a lot of inflictions myself, a lot of negative self-doubt and a lot of negative, self-belief, kind of self-sabotage a little bit, when you start procrastinating certain things, or you're kind of putting things as not a priority when you should be, certain stuff like that. And the weird thing is, you know what you're supposed to be doing, the right things that you need to do, but we get it in our heads that what's the point? Or we get it in our heads like this isn't the right thing or something like that. And it can be very hard because you get confused. And sometimes you don't know who to listen to. You don't know who to listen. You don't know if you need to listen to the encouraging part of your voice that's actually telling you blah, blah, blah. Or if you need to actually give into what is the so-called realistic form of like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Because, it can feel sometimes like the confidence that you have is almost forced. Like you're almost kind of blowing smoke up your own ass just to be able to make yourself feel better. But you need to be able to take that out. And you got to be able to isolate certain things. So when it comes to all this stuff, I'm going to read another passage from my book, but I think it's very important to be able to be aware of these things. I posted something yesterday where I was talking about, if you're shutting down emotionally, and that's happened to me plenty of times. I'm sure it's happened to you guys. You guys get in a fight with your argument with your, significant other, or you just fail at some things. You kind of really get down on yourself. You shut down emotionally. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to open up about it. You don't want to, all these things, but it's important to do that, because the less that you do that, the more you justify all the negatives that are going on. You're not being accountable. So what not having accountability does is it thwarts your sense of gratitude, because gratitude is mindset, perspective, and accountability, at least for me. And so when I am not taking accountability, it almost like throws off my perspective of what I know I can do, because again, when you can open yourself up to different perspectives and create a growth mindset, it really allows you to feel that sense of gratitude. But when I get it in my head that like I can't do stuff, or that something's weird, and I notice it, I'm just like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Because it's hard to just like be like, no, don't talk to yourself like that. And so that's why I kind of want to read a little bit from my book. And again, if you guys have not already, please order your copy of my book, Jericho's Journey, on Amazon. But I'm going to read this passage, and it really is just about the negative inflictions that we put on ourselves. It's all about talking to yourself negatively and how to kind of combat that. So let me get into this right now. Inflictions. I no longer have any fear of pain because I'm the one inflicting it and can decide when it stops. Maudie Julian. I think we've all experienced some level of negative self-worth, where our past has led us to believe that we are still that person. Or even worse, that the world would be a much better place without us. I know there was a lot of times where I kept thinking, hey, good vibes, thank you for joining. Um, I always used to think that the world would be a better place without me, and that led to a lot of negative, suicidal thoughts. And when you think like that, you're almost pitying yourself and not valuing your own worth enough to where your judgment is so high, and you're just judging every little thing that you're doing. But in turn, this is what can create self doubt, and eventually self sabotage. Self sabotage is when you are basically justifying everything that you're doing to the point where you are shattering your own life, and it's justified. So you might not feel you deserve it, but you're still kind of digging yourself deeper into the hole for no apparent reason. And this is when our self belief is so thwarted that we actually feel we're not worthy of good things, nor do we have faith that good things will come. We judge ourselves too harshly. And until we can learn to love ourselves completely and unconditionally, we will continue to sabotage our life and not feel as though we deserve it to get better. What can stem from this is worry, more self-doubt, and negative self-talk, as well as more fear, distraction, and a damaged ego. These are breeding grounds for decision fatigue, more anxiety, stress, depression, or worse. In conclusion, though, just remember that everything you're going through, as far as hardship, is only to further your progress. So start whatever it is that you want to do and begin to use progression to propel forward in the pursuit of that. We need to learn to detach slowly, not the detachment of yourself with others, but with the stories that we tell ourselves. We always get these negative stories that we add to random events, which can spiral our emotions out of control. How many times has something happened to you and you create a negative storyline that goes with it? So you start freaking out, you start getting all worried, you start getting all worked up, when in reality, it's just a random event that you're putting a story onto. So we need to learn to detach ourselves from these stories, but not detach ourselves from the people, because the relationship is what we need. But we don't need the negative self-talk. We don't need all of the extra anxiety, all the extra worry. So we just need to learn that every event that happens is just an event that happens. It's not to, in spite of you. It's to help you grow. It's to help propel you to that next level. You've got to use progression to get there, though. And when we are, continuing to tell ourselves these stories, we're not progressing at all. We're continuing to hinder our own growth because we are depleting our own energy levels, because we're devaluing our own worth. You need to flip that paradigm. You need to stop putting stories onto every little thing. There was a time yesterday, actually, I was like, my energy was real low. I wasn't really feeling too much. What's going on, Alex? What's going on, Leon? I really appreciate you guys tuning in. There was a few days ago and yesterday even that I've been just like kind of low on energy. And what happens is, I get kind of, I get that way. I put negative stories to things. I'm like over saying, oh, this is happening, and so this is going to happen, and then that's going to happen, and then this and that. It's like, no. It's like, no, sorry if it blanked out there for a minute. I got people calling me, and that's annoying. So, you know what? Hold on one second. Alrighty, guys. So basically, sorry, I lost my place, and then my computer's being all slow now. But basically, we've got to stop telling ourselves these stories, because I get into it too. I get into these modes where I'm constantly telling myself these stories when in reality it's all just a random occurrence that I'm putting a story and attaching to. And that's the part where we go wrong.
It's different. It's different to be aware as opposed to like be in it. When you can't see the forest from the trees. You know what I mean? So you got to take yourself out of your own head. That's something that I'm learning as I go. And I think that that's something that we continue to learn and we continue to strive. Because again, progression is what we need to aim for. We just need to aim for getting better, not continuing to spiral down and out of control with these negative stories. The universe gives us exactly what we ask for. Just remember that. The universe gives us exactly what we ask for. So in turn, the things that happen to us along the way are formulated to be the tests that we need to pass. So think about this. Like if you are telling the universe, okay, this is what I want. This is it. It's like, all right, cool. So I'm going to put this series of a bunch of shit in front of you and see how serious you are. And it's in those moments that you continue to keep pushing through that the universe is like, all right, I'm taking him a little more seriously now. So you start to get more pieces. But when you remain consistent and then you back down, the universe is like, I don't know if he really wants it. I don't know. You got to earn your keep. You got to earn your vision. You got to earn these things. These things don't just come to you. The universe isn't just going to be like, here it is. You got to actually put strides in. You got to put some merit behind the things that you're asking for. Because if you're not doing that, it's almost just like making false promises to everything and everyone. Because it's like you are trying to be of service at that point. But if you're not going to be of service if you continue to, but you're not going to be, you know, sorry, everybody is calling me right now. You're not going to be of service if you're continuing to deplete your own stuff. You know what I mean? We give too much to things that we assume and or make up. We definitely do. And the funny thing about that, man, is we assume it. Like it's not even fact, right? Like there's nothing that's set in stone that's saying like this is exactly what's going to happen. You're just putting that negative connotation onto the event that happened because of your mindset, because you are not seeing opportunity. You're seeing failure. You're seeing all of the things wrong. You're not seeing all the things that you can capitalize. You're not seeing all the opportunities. You're not seeing any of that stuff. And so, all right, so the problem with this is that it's sustainable up until a point, right? So it's sustainable up to the point where we give them a story and a meaning behind it. So this is why people react so differently to different things. This is why some can't work, like why some don't worry so much. Perhaps it's because they know that they've already taken steps to solve whatever problem is put forth, and anything added on is just extra drama meant to test the growth so far. So like anything that you go through, if there's just extra drama, extra stuff, it's just more of that extra credit. Extra negative in your life is extra credit. Remember that. Extra negative is extra credit. The things that you can overcome that are extra negative in your life are going to be extra credit. The universe will repay you for that. Now, let's see. Or maybe they simply know that they are the path and whatever they decided was meant to be. And I always say that, the hope is for the past, faith is for the future, and we are the path. You can hope that things don't end up like the past, but you can't dwell there. You just need to have faith in the future and be present enough to make the best decision because we are the path. The things that we decide are the things that are supposed to happen. Regardless if something bad happens out of that decision or if something good happens out of that decision, it was supposed to happen because it's either supposed to help you grow or it's supposed to help you see a new beginning to the next level. So either way, you're not done. Either way, success is not comfortability. So you got to get used to the discomfort and continue to keep moving, continue to keep pushing, continue to keep striving. When we detach ourselves, we're able to take the wrong part of the ego out of the presence of the happening, enough to be able to form our own truth and do the things that we need to do to move the needle a bit. By detaching ourselves, we can also become more objective to situations and not as emotionally bound to what's going on. Do not get caught up in isolation. If we detach too much, this is when we begin to feel lonely. And loneliness and solitude are entirely different. Being separated is like being in solitude. When we're not auditing what we tell ourselves, that is when isolation multiplies because we feel we are not worthy of what we desire enough to put that out to the world. That is also the exact moment when our relationships are no longer authentic because now you're too focused on your own tunnel vision instead of the broader vision. And empathy for others and having relationships that are healthy and strong are the things that create the longevity for you later. You will be able to start to see a shift in the fact that you're not genuinely having conversations. You're merely going through the motions and becoming robotic. How many times have you ever, thought, oh man, I'm just being just so robotic. I'm going through the motions, this and that, right? Now, you begin to experience anxiety as opposed to optimism, and this can be just as disastrous. So stay alert in how much you are detaching your story with what's going on. If you begin to separate too much and begin to isolate yourself, you can always come back, just start engaging with others within your circle. Even if it's just a simple but genuine, hey, how's everything going? I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a slump, talking negative to myself and being just terrible. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I say hi to somebody, or I say good morning, or I say, yo, how's your day going? I hope your day's good, and I hope everything's going well with you. And all of a sudden, man, my whole mood picks up. My whole mood picks up. And it's because that level of connection goes deeper than just a hi, hello, how are you? It goes into it goes into your soul. You feel connected to somebody. And that is something that is irreplaceable. Um, and it's something to not take for granted or take advantage of. Um, Now, if you begin to, like I said, separate yourself too much and begin to isolate yourself, just say what's up to somebody. How often do you talk negatively to yourself? Honestly, man, all day, every day. It's something that I constantly am having to always know how to combat, because like there's moments, yeah, like where, I'm good to go. I'm telling myself, you're awesome. Like you're doing really good. And then people tell me like, yo, you've accomplished so much this year and like all that stuff. And I'm just like saying to myself, then why don't I have much? Right? Then why don't I have anything? Why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? Why am I struggling to pay my bills? Why am I like not in a good position? Like, why do I feel really good, but I don't view myself really good? And that's where I get caught up. I get caught up in the bad. So that's why like I have to recycle this gratitude for today, momentum for tomorrow, energy for the world, empathy for others, and awareness for ourselves kind of mantra every single day. I have to sit there, and that's why I post this every single morning. For those of you who are wondering and getting annoyed with my stories and saying like, why is this dude posting these same 5 yellow, black, white things every single day? The reason for that is because that's my little checklist every single morning. I go through and I literally look for gratitude, and I'm like, okay, gratitude is mindset, perspective, and accountability. And do I have a right mindset? Like, am I viewing things? And every time I get caught up in these negatives, that's why I always say awareness is such a huge key, because to be aware, it's not that like you're gonna just do like dissolve all of these feelings, right? They're gonna come up, but that's why you got to be aware. That's why I always say awareness is so important, because you have to be able to switch it on and be the observer of your thoughts and be like, look, I'm actually like talking to myself pretty negatively and I've actually accomplished a lot. Like I can't be getting down on myself. And so it's like it's crazy how much that helps to have your own. That's why I talk about even having your own system, having your own Rolodex. Everybody's got these hacks, right? Saying like, this is the way you need to be successful. This is the way you need to live life. This is the way to have the right mindset. And it's like, no, that's not really it. It's just what happened and what helped for them. So you got to like find your own system. That's why I always preach my system, because it helped me. So take what works, throw away what doesn't, and make your own thing that gets you kind of aware more so than anything when you're feeling these things, because too many people get caught up in these feelings. They don't do anything about them. How many times have you like felt like you needed to work out, but you didn't? Like, that's what I mean, to be aware of something and be like, look, I didn't work out today. I don't feel like working out, but I'm going to work out. Like, that's what it is. It's the same thing, but with a mental strength behind it. True. So being grateful is the main way you fight the negative thoughts. That's, I would say, the main thing, man. But it all comes down to that in relationships. Like I said, like there's moments where I detach the story, right? So like I detach the story from the event. So like if something bad happens to me, I try to just detach the story. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. This isn't going to spiral things out of control. It's just one random event. What can I do from here? So when I do that, sometimes I get caught up in my own little tunnel vision. So I detach from people, right? Like I don't talk to people about it. I just like go for it. I'm just like, boom, 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 tunnel vision. I'm good to go. Instead of like opening up. So what happens is I isolate myself. So then I start to feel a little lonely about it. I'm like, okay, I'm beating a bunch of shit. I feel good, but why do I feel lonely? And it's like, I don't have, and then it starts to happen again, right? Like, because I'm like, man, I feel lonely. Am I really that good? And like, boom. So then it's like a relationship thing too. I have to be consistently speaking with people and saying like, hey, how's your day going? Like genuinely, because the level of connection that you feel with other people, it keeps you going. It keeps you going. That's one of the main things why people don't realize that like solitude and loneliness are two totally different things, because you can be in solitude, but you can also feel lonely. So like you have to maintain your relationships with other people that are healthy. I'm not saying like just reach out to people who are toxic to you. I'm saying like reach out to somebody who makes you feel good and say, hey, how is your day going? How's everything going? I can tell you that like between gratitude practices and working on relationships with other people and just focusing on the right energy and the right belief systems that I have true to myself, like It's all a cycle, man. That's I talk about it so much, but it really is just a cycle. Like the reason why I go through all these specific things in my book is because these are all villains. Like these are all villains. Like the next chapter is the mirror of judgment. Then there's indecisive distraction, right? Like, and then we've already gone over fear and the 3 E's. So now after we go over like all these villains that I kind of go through as well, that's when I recycle everything else that's in the book, which is gratitude for today, momentum for tomorrow, energy for the world, empathy for others, and awareness for ourselves. So I literally checklist. I'm like, is my mindset right? Am I seeing all of the perspectives? Like, am I seeing the right perspective? Because I know that things could be worse, but am I seeing the right perspective? Do I have accountability for who I am? Like, do I at least accept the fact that I don't know everything? I'm not where I want to be, all these things. Now, do I have some self-discipline? Well, I don't know if I stuck to my routine today. Well, bam, some of your momentum's gone. If I'm, if I am, man, I can't even think of it right now. Man, why am I drawing a blank right now? If I don't have clarity, my bad. If I don't have clarity, so like if I don't have any discipline and I'm losing momentum because I didn't stick to my routine, I'm losing some clarity. I'm losing some clarity in my vision at that point, and I don't have a complete, meticulous plan of attack that I'm following. So my momentum's off. If I can't identify my vibration and realize that it's very low, how am I supposed to raise it? Because I don't even know where the starting point's at. If I can't confirm my own truth and belief systems within myself, how do I know what I stand for? How? So those are the first 3 checklists that I do. And then I do, am I in touch with my emotions? Like, am I actually feeling them and listening to what they are telling me? Or am I just trying to throw them out the door? When I can sit there and listen to them, I get to realize what my friends, which are my emotions, are actually telling me. I can be more receptive and more respected and be more respectable towards those. Acknowledging them gives them the opportunity to discuss things with you and not just bang at your door and be annoying. Then I try to see if I'm exposing myself to the other person's point of view and exposing myself to other people's stories so that I don't feel secluded to my own problems. I know that other people are going through similar situations. And then I retain my sense of presence. Like I said, the hope is for the past, faith is for the future, and we are the path. So anything that I decide is the path. It's what was supposed to happen. It's what's supposed to play out. What I do from there on, I just need to keep remaining present and keep making the best decisions to keep moving forward. That is how you gain empathy. That's what I use to create better relationships with people. And then the last checklist, I make sure that I have my process down. I make sure that I have a good process. I make sure that I'm incorporating my passion at least once a day somehow. And then I know that I need to have the humility to admit when I'm wrong and to admit when I need some help. When I am doing all these things and I'm going through every single one of those things, which is what all those 5 things that I do, that's why it says mindset, perspective, accountability. That's why it says, for momentum for tomorrow, it says discipline, clarity, plan of attack. That's why it says all that, because I have to go through and I have to literally sit there and say, and trust me, like it's not perfect 100% at bat every single time. There's times where like, it's just how I identify what part of my life is kind of lagging a little bit. Like I'll admit, the past few days, I haven't been very disciplined. I haven't really had much clarity, and I haven't been very meticulous with my plan of attack. So I've been losing a lot of momentum, and I feel it. I feel like I'm losing momentum. If I'm not in touch with my vibration and I don't know like my truth and belief systems, and I'm getting confused because I'm letting other people's influence kind of thwart me, that also depletes my energy. And I have to be aware of that. And when I can pinpoint that is when I can start to capitalize on what it is that's making me cause that and what I can do to continue to push forward, to continue to pull myself through this. Now to finish this off, social interaction will always trump being alone. Like I said, social interaction is always going to trump you just being alone. Even scientists and psychologists have proven this time and time again, with suicide rates linked to depression and overall levels of anxiety in today's modern world. So I don't know if you guys have looked at like the depression rates and all that stuff, but most of these people just feel very lonely. And you can be in a crowd and feel lonely, but you've got to at least have social interaction. Like you've got to at least genuinely care about people. And create that level of connection, because everybody can always tell when it's fake. Like people can always just sit there and say like, yo, this dude's just trying to be friends with me because I have this and that or whatever. He's just trying to make himself feel better. Like, but you can tell when stuff is like not authentic and when it's not genuine. So make sure that like you're being very authentic with the way that you're like connecting with people. So be aware of these things. Remember that relationships are part of this overall cycle. Always maintain the healthiest relationships possible with the ones that are encouraging and challenging you. Those are to be the ones that will be able to get you out of your funk of isolation and back into the groove of detachment, and ultimately one step closer to attacking any of those negative inflictions upon self. So, like I said, if you're struggling with negative self-doubt, negative self-talk, negative self anything, just remember to reach out to people. Remember, you don't even have to talk about the things that you're stressed about. You don't even have to talk about the things that you're negatively talking to yourself on, but just connect with people. Just connect with people. Create your sense of exposure to other people's stories. Open up your level of emotional intelligence by listening to your emotions. Don't just be like, you know what, I'm feeling sad. I don't want to feel sad. Like, fuck you, I'm out. Like, no, you got to at least be able to be like, all right, I feel sad, but like, why? Like, why do I really feel sad? Is it because I'm like not where I want to be? Is it like what is it? And then you got to at least be able to be present in that moment. So you got to be like, all right, look, like I can take an objective view here. I know that I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling down, but what can I do right now? Like, what can I do right now to make me feel better, or to make, the situation just bring a little more light to it? Like, what can I do? And normally, like, when you can do all that and you can do that openly with another human being, there's no way that you'll do all of that and feel bad about yourself or feel bad about what just happened. There's absolutely no way. And it'll make you feel absolutely totally different about the way that you are talking to yourself, and the way that, and it all comes down to, the right mindset. Again, like, don't get caught up in your own head. Take yourself out of your own head and take yourself out of and take that observer standpoint and realize that things are the way that they are, but you can't take that personally. You've got to just make the transitions accordingly. Now, I think we all have experienced some form of negative self-talk, self-doubt, self-sabotage. And I've gone over before, typically, that it can stem from low worth, high judgment. Now, I'm going to ask you guys before I get off here, was there a time, and is there a time, that you guys actually judge yourselves? Like, do you guys judge yourselves? Do you guys ever talk to yourselves negatively? And if so, like, how do you combat it? How do you become aware of it to where you can flip the paradigm? You can you can get in control, and you can actually start to, capitalize on things and not feel victimized by these things. But I'd love to know your experience with this. So please, if there's ever been a time where you had to overcome self-doubt, or you're doing it every day or whatever, let me know. And because I'd really like to know kind of your guys' experience as well. Now, again, just to kind of recap a few main points that I spoke on, and then I'll let you guys go. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Remember, don't be viewing the world as it's better without you. That's just a negative way to look at things. Everybody has something special and unique to contribute. Love yourself completely. Don't judge yourself. Be able to look in the mirror and be able to tell yourself that you're doing well, that you're doing good, that you have what it takes. The affirmations in the morning, I'm a big fan of. I don't personally do it, but maybe I should. Maybe some affirmation, which you need. I guess you could say my affirmation is the gratitude, momentum, energy, empathy, and awareness. I kind of use that as my mantra, but that's like my affirmation. Like, if I can do all these things and I can capitalize on every single one of these, I feel pretty good about my life. I feel pretty good about myself. Now, belief that you don't deserve good things breeds for distraction and a damaged ego, decision fatigue, anxiety, stress. We all know about cortisol, and depression, So strengthen your belief system, strengthen your truth system. Know what's true to you. Know what works for you. Know what's going on. Hardship means progress, and progression to propel. So view any hardship in your life as a test. View any hardship in your life as progression to propel forward. Detach slowly, not from others, but from stories. So detach the stories in your own mind. Yeah, I do every now and then. How I normally overcome, I kind of let it play out. Like, I feel like I'm positive all the time, and it's normal for a filter to need to get the